2nd, 2021 Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:45. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of claims.
I make a motion for the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $454,386.78. Payroll and liabilities for October 22nd, 2021 in the amount of $479,776.32 for a total of $934,163.10.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Salisbury, seconded by Councilman Peranto. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, with that, I adjourn at 6:45.
Call the November 2nd, 2021 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilwoman Cox will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilman Mike Bailey will give us the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dearest Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that we enjoy living here in this wonderful city, in this wonderful state of Wyoming. Please bless us in all that we do here tonight, that we can make the best decisions for the city of Riverton. Please bless all of those who work so hard for us, protecting us in the police, emergency responders, and in the military. Keep them safe. Please bless us all tonight as we go home, that we'll all be safe. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. I declare a quorum is present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Borders and a second by Councilwoman Cox. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for public hearing may be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on any other item may speak now. I would ask those individuals wishing to speak to the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Seeing none, would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, October 19th, 2021 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, November 2nd, 2021 Finance Committee meeting. And approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for November 2nd, 2021.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and approved the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $454,386.78. Payroll and liabilities for October 22nd, 2021 in the amount of $479,776.32 for the total of $934,163.10.
Thank you. The Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Council discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 21-010 on third and final reading, amending the water meter ordinance. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 21-010 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 21-010 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 13 Public Services, Chapter 13.08 Water Service System, Section 13.08.320 Purchase, Installation, etc. by City, and Section 13.08.330 Property of City of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-010 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the city clerk please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Dean Peranto.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration of bid award for detective vehicles, please.
Honor the mayor and council. My name is Dan Adcock. I am the sanitation fleet supervisor for the city of Riverton. Here tonight to talk about a bid award for two detective vehicles. Recommendation is that the Riverton City Council award the purchase of these two vehicles to the Fremont, Chevy, Buick, and GMC in the amount of $53,060. Background: during the preparation and adoption of the 2021-2022 budget, the Riverton City Council authorized the purchase of two police detective vehicles at the request of the police department. Wyoming State statute states that all vehicle purchases must be by competitive bid process. So we opened the competitive bid advertisement up on October 10th, 2021, and held a public bid opening on October 19th, 2021 at 11 a.m. Two bids were received during this time frame. All bids were responsive, and listed below are the bids received. First bid was from Fremont Ford here in Riverton, Wyoming for 2022 Ford Escapes with a unit price of $26,699.40 with a total bid amount of $53,338.80. The second bid we received was from Fremont, GMC, Chevy, and Buick here in Riverton for two 2022 Chevy Equinoxes. Unit price of $26,530 apiece for a total bid amount of $53,060. The Riverton City Council budgeted $50,000 for these two vehicles, and the lowest bid received was $3,060 over that budgeted amount. After discussion with the Finance Department, it was determined that the additional $3,060 could be covered with the capital savings from a recent wheeled loader bid award. So we have the extra money there. Staff proposes that the City of Riverton award the bid to Fremont Chevy, Buick, and GMC in the amount of $53,060. As previously referenced, the $50,000 was budgeted for this purchase in the Capital Cost Center in the Public Works Department, and there are sufficient funds within this cost center to award this bid. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. The chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of two detective vehicles from Fremont Chevy Buick GMC in the amount of $53,060.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of bid award for the wastewater treatment plant heating unit. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The wastewater treatment plant has 6 mixed-air units on its campus. The one we're considering tonight is the largest and probably most important. For the information of the council and those in the audience, the mixed-air unit serves the important purpose of replacing harmful gases generated within that dewatering building by bringing in air from the outside. It also provides heating and cooling options as well. City staff prepared plans and specifications for the replacement of this mixed air unit. You were able to see a photo of this unit in your weekly report, just as a quick reference, and put it out for advertisement on 3 different occasions. As part of the bid advertisement, we did include a bid alternate. It was bid alternate A and bid alternate B. Both were very similar. It was the replacement of another mixed air unit for the sludge building on the wastewater treatment plant campus. The difference between the 2 schedules between bid A and bid B was really about where it would be placed at the discretion of the bidder. Bids were publicly opened October 27th, 2021 with the following results. One bidder, Sweetwater Air, supplied a base bid, this is for the dewatering building, in the amount of $79,161, and then a bid for alternate B for $49,445. The total bid from Sweetwater Air was $128,606. Staff reviewed the bid to assure that it was responsive to specifications, which it was, and due to budgetary restraints, staff is not recommending the award of alternate bid B, but just the base bid at this time. As reflected in your council packet and in the budget book, you will notice that $100,000 was budgeted for this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. The chair would entertain a motion to award the base bid of the wastewater treatment plant makeup air unit replacement project to Sweetwater Air in the amount of $79,161.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has the second. Discussion. So who gets the $25,000?
You lose that because you just bought those 2 cop cars.
Well, so we take the 3,000 that we're short, and we still have 20 plus, right? Nope.
2 different.
Your Honor,
Your Honor.
I would work that way.
So we're short the heating side and cooling side of that by about 20,000. Is that correct? Do you have an idea on how to, are you going to pursue that heating and cooling? Or?
Your Honor, we would still like to explore the sludge building, but we'll probably explore it in next year's budget process. So these funds, while unspent, would remain in the cash account in the wastewater fund and could help in our budgeting process next year because the need is still there. It's just not as immediate as the base bid need for the dewatering building.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of EDGE funding agreement, CWC. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor and Council, at the June 1st council meeting, council approved for staff to prepare and negotiate agreements for EDGE funding. One was with RMD and the other one was with CWC. CWC's application was with regards to augmenting their planned building, which is the Ag Equine Center, and making it so it can have events. With that, the EDGE committee heard this prior to that meeting and recommended funding of $100,000 with the same general parameters that we had put on RMD. As a reminder, those parameters are a certain percentage of the dollars based on the $101.2 million estimate over a 2-year, even though we may or may not hit that number, it's depending. A certain percentage of that up to a certain dollar amount during the time period from first collection all the way to the end of 2022. The agreement that you have before you lays out those same terms as you had in the previous agreement with RMD and that you'll see in future agreements. Those sections, in this case, are 8.33% of the 70% of the economic development tax distributed. Keeping in mind, we only use 70% of that half cent for economic development dollars. Those are received from June 1st of 21 to December 31st of 2022, and the maximum allocation of $100,000. The agreement further goes into reporting requirements and the intent of the funding to be used, and that funding is directly tied to the initial application. So you'll see the initial application referenced for your review. The reason for that is the expenditures that are provided are things like bleachers and the like that actually augment the existing facility. You'll see also in these agreements that the city does not become a formal partner in terms of operation to that. That's one of the things that we've been very consistent about through these. The intent of the EDGE funding is to augment the building, not to continue the ongoing operations of the facilities. So those are called out. At this point, the CWC has reviewed this prior to you seeing it, and that's why it's to you now, is that they were generally okay with it. Our legal staff has also reviewed it, made comments, and we've had discussions, and the draft you have before you is the one that has been approved through legal and with staff. We would recommend approval of the agreement as presented. However, if council so chooses, we can make changes or modifications to it, and then we would have to bring that back to the actual funding or to CWC. I would point out that President Tyndall is in the audience this evening if you have any questions of that facility or any others within this agreement. Your Honor, with that, we recommend approval of the agreement and would stand for any questions at your leisure.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the EDGE funding agreement between the City of Riverton and CW Central Wyoming College.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Further discussion?
Your
All in-
Honor, I have a question to Tony. At the meeting when we determined that it would just be for 1 year, I see this and goes to December 2022. We talked about them maybe coming back. Would that be after that, or?
Your Honor, if I may, the way that we have structured, Your Honor, Councilwoman, the way that we have structured these is we do a certain percentage in order to say they can get that funding during that time period. Council could consider a separate agreement that says we want to buy X or we want to help fund X. That would just be a separate agreement if there's additional monies right now. So we do it over the period of time that is allowed to, because if I had to condense it into just this year, I haven't done the math on the fly, but
But it
I wouldn't
doesn't-
be able to actually get that out of the remaining dollars that are probably going to come in this year. But there is money currently left over.
So that doesn't prevent them from.
It doesn't
additional-
prevent them
okay.
from coming. If we had another process and they wanted to make another application for something, you could consider that one. It would just be a separate agreement. Or we could even go back and modify this agreement. That math would be a little harder, but we could work through it.
No other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. President Tyndall and Tony and I and one of his staff met for an hour and 45 minutes last week, and it was a great meeting, and we appreciate your information, and we'll do our very best to support you, okay? Thank you, Honor. Thank you, Council. All right.
Thanks.
Executive session on real estate. The chair would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of real estate, consideration of site selections or purchase of real estate in accordance with state statute 16-4-405 AVII.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has a motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We stand convened into executive session at 7:20. Chair would entertain a motion to reconvene into the regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're, regular session, the Riverton City Council is now reconvened at 7:34. Action items from the executive session. The chair would entertain a motion to accept the highest bid for 3105 Shandell Boulevard contingent upon the replatting being completed prior to the closing on the property.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has a motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Quarterly fiscal report, financial director's report, please.
Your Honor, while you were all in executive session and I was setting up for my presentation, it was discovered that we lost a bulb in our projector. So I won't be able to project my presentation on screen. However, I'll ask you to rely on the information that I provided in your packet to follow along on the presentation. So this fiscal year, the governing body approved a final fiscal year budget of $22,636,366, and total capital expenditures were just slightly in excess of $7.2 million of that figure. I'm going to start with the general fund first, which is your second slide. The general fund makes up this year approximately 37% of our total budget, and the total funds budgeted for the general fund was slightly in excess of $8.3 million, which is a 3.6% increase over last year. That total is $294,678. So of this $8.3 million, $6.8 million was budgeted for operations, with the other $1.5 million budgeted for capital. We also budgeted a transfer of $466,990 for operations and $25,938 for our capital projects. So the amounts referenced on the slides that you have presented include both operational and capital revenues and expenditures, as well as any budget transfers. At the close of the quarter, the expenditures exceeded the revenues by $152,000. Last year's variance for this same period was $446,331. So some revenues of notes for this closing of the quarter. Sales and use tax receipts exceeded our projections by $42,297. And building and encroachment permits exceeded projections by 60%. So I think due to the large projects that we've seen throughout Riverview, the city has benefited from the funding for those permits by $56,782 just in the first quarter of the fiscal year. And then, of course, our expenditures, I just wanted to remind the council that we do pay annual expenses at the beginning of the year, including our property and liability insurance and software support fees. So when looking at some of these cost centers, you will start to see that those may drop down a little bit as we progress through the year because we obligate the full funding for those expenditures at the beginning of the fiscal year. Does anyone have any questions regarding the general fund? Okay, moving on to the next slide is the airport fund. Historically, the airport fund has relied on the general fund to supplement the costs for operations, and we've been fortunate with CARES Act funding this past couple of years that we have not had to rely on the general fund. The airport did close the first quarter with revenues exceeding our expenditures by $91,845. Comparatively, this fund reflected a deficit balance of $72,905 for the same period last year. And again, this is mostly due to the receipt of CARES Act funding for operational expenditures in fiscal year '21. City staff did budget a transfer of $75,000 in cash to support our capital projects in the airport this year. The next slide reflects the water fund. The total budget for the water fund was $3.5 million. This is a 49.8% decrease over fiscal year 2021. When you want to talk dollars, that's $3.4 million less than what we had budgeted last year. And it was so high last year because we did complete the final phase of the Riverton water supply project, and that's not reflected in the water fund this year. We were able to close that project and pay that project just out of our cash. So we have seen a dip in our cash for our water fund, but thankfully that long project is finally complete. In the water fund, we have $2.6 million budgeted for operations and $821,000 budgeted for capital projects this year. The council also approved a transfer from cash of $772,273 out of the water fund. During the first quarter of fiscal year '22, the closing balance in the water fund was negative $10,535. However, when you look at a $3.5 million budget, that's not a huge dollar amount to worry about, and staff will continue to monitor the activities in the water fund and make recommendations accordingly. 44% of the projected capital outlay has already been expended from the water fund this year. So we've gotten busy on getting our water fund repairs done. Last year, this fund position was $359,494. So it's quite a change over what we had last fiscal year. Are there any questions on the water fund? Okay, great. Your next slide reflects the wastewater fund. That budget is slightly in excess of $2.8 million, and this is a 20% increase over the prior fiscal year. We've budgeted $2,073,885 for operations and $731,750 for capital. And the council also approved a transfer from cash to complete capital projects for $339,135. Our expenditures exceeded our revenues in the wastewater fund by $98,411. And last year, the first quarter closing balance was $127,132. We do have some pretty large capital projects planned in our wastewater treatment plant this year also. So, as Kyle mentioned, one of them this evening. Okay, moving on to the sanitation fund. The projected budget for this fund is $2.7 million, and this does reflect an increase of 8.7% over last fiscal year. We have $2.2 million budgeted for operations and $529,000 budgeted for capital. And we also have a $457,604 transfer budgeted for capital. The city has budgeted for the purchase of a sanitation truck and a front-end loader this year. Sanitation trucks run to the tune of about $300,000. This fund closed with a balance of $8,750. Last year's quarter one closed at $307,538. And we want to keep in mind with our enterprise funds, the water, sewer, and sanitation funds, that we're not budgeting to make a profit on those accounts. We're just budgeting to cover our operation and our future capital outlay. And moving on to the final one, the Air Service Fund. The Air Service Fund has primarily been funded by the City of Riverton, the City of Lander, and other local entities. With the passing of the 0.5% economic development tax, Air Service is now funded by this means. We are invoiced quarterly from WYDOT, And at the close of the first quarter, the Air Service Fund budget reflects a positive balance of $72,884, and that's just this fiscal year, so that's from July 1 through September 30th. The staff is also holding $59,994 in the 0.5% fund for economic development for Air Service, so we can make that transfer over sometime within this fiscal year. And with that, I would stand for any questions you might have on our budget.
Do we all look like Joe Biden at the conference? Those are really great numbers, if you're asking me, and we're really fortunate to have those small numbers at the bottom of the page. So I appreciate your hard work on them, and I appreciate the people that put the 0.5 cent in position so it would do its work. Kyle sent out an email today that employments were at 12,000, 1,400 employments this last month, 1,400 plus, and I have those in further notes. But we really are fortunate to have this kind of budget in front of us in this first quarter. And so we appreciate the work you do, and I'm sorry the light bulb was burned out because would have been nice to see. So, I appreciate what you do and what the girls in your side of the world do. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Moving on, is there any staff that would like to add anything on the budget?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council committee reports. Councilman Bailey, could you start us off?
I do not have a lot to talk about since we've met last, so.
Okay. Lindsay, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, PAWS met since our last meeting and went over the PAWS and Pearls. They had a great fundraiser. We're talking about possibly doing the Mardi Paws again in the spring, but it's not set for sure. And I haven't been to any other meetings.
Okay. Dean?
I don't have anything to report either.
Okay, thank you. Carla?
Your Honor, I attended the School District 25 Rec Board meeting last night. They're finalizing their budget and also named some Community Volunteer of the Year awards. Those have not been announced yet, so I'm not going to say anything.
We can still cross our fingers, huh?
Yeah.
So where was that meeting? I went looking for you.
We were in here last night in council chambers,
At what time?
7.
At 7.
The sign said 6.
Sign said 6.
7,
No
yeah.
wonder I was lost.
I was lost when I first got here, too. I thought I was an hour late.
I looked in all the rooms and couldn't find you, and so I figured you were elsewhere, so, okay.
We were right here. The engagement committee, I did not get to attend the meeting in October. I know they're still planning the tree lighting. That's, I think, the second weekend in December. I've got a lot of other things going on, so I'll bring more information at the next meeting. That's about all I have.
Thank you. It's nice to have you back. I'm glad you're well.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Kyle?
Attended the waste management meeting on Monday. Kyle Butterfield was there. And it was an interesting topic. I don't think we got a straight answer out of them. The projection is that Lander is going to close in 2028, excuse me, not in 100 years, 2028. And at that time, prior to that, they are proposing to close down the reception of waste here at Riverton, and it would be a direct haul. Kyle pointed out that would be, originally they had stated that the haul from Riverton to Sandral was 7 miles. Kyle pointed out that it was probably more like 11, and in that it would be a longer distance. That means for us that we would need more equipment to do what we're doing in the time frame. So he proposed that we have increased open times at Sandral. The other thing that was pointed out is the cost per ton has gone up to about $110. And when I mentioned that at the first of the year, they say that my remarks were wrong in that during times where we have slowdowns, people tend to use more waste versus less waste. Well, that is proven to be wrong because they're on a fixed budget. You have numbers of people, and the more you put through with the same number of people, the costs go down per tons, and theirs has gone up. So anyway, Kyle had requested the opportunity to see their matrix on how they figured their plans, but right now they're, best I can say, they were using fuzzy math, and but that was the thing that was more interesting. To comment on what you said about the airport, if we look back to 2011, even then we didn't have as many people boarding as we have had this last year. And the significant is that we passed the 10,000 boarding mark in October. That leaves November and December as free, not free to board, but that we can accumulate numbers that we don't have to go in and beg on our hands and knees to get FAA support for our airport. The thing is that so many people that were critical in Riverton spending the money on getting better air service have been proven totally wrong, that given the chance, people will fly out of Riverton because time is important and the costs are not that much different. Mike has flown out of here, I've flown out of here, and the Central Airport is a great idea, and I'm certainly happy that we had the foresight to back it and push it and talk about it and get it done because it's proven to be successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Christie?
We didn't have a chamber meeting, but I met with Janet Winslow and we shared a lot of different ideas. I think the chamber's doing a really good job trying to get the city and the schools and the college all working together. And after our conversation, I met with Brad Tyndall to sponsor an event with the chamber and the college, and he actually gave us $1,500 to do that, which was great with the college, to just try to make sure all of our towns working together and we're just to provide activities. And I think Janet's doing a great job, has great ideas, thank you. I mean, it was enjoyable. And then, do you have anything else to add? We have a meeting on Thursday, but yes, they're doing they're getting things straightened up, and it was a good meeting.
Mia, did you hear that? $1,500?
It's not going to the city, though. They're going to pay for the event actually, after I talked to Brad, I talked to some of the faculty to actually do the event with some students and combine it with the chamber and the city, so it should be exciting.
Kind of like that airport money.
Yeah.
We do appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much. Got anything else to add?
No.
Tony?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a handful of things. Force meeting will be on Monday. That is open to the public. The ambassadors are, as denoted by the recent report. Ambassadors are on Thursday. Staff does attend, of course, the mayor always attends those as well. They're doing good things, looking forward to it. Last time I showed up, I think I got assigned. I have one role, but I have to do that role a lot, so we'll just leave it at that. The Veterans Parade, we had some discussion at the last meeting about the Veterans Parade and some concern. I would report to council that staff worked with the ambassadors and their representative. That has been moved. It has been moved to the 11th. It is in the morning. And that group is already doing all the coordination with the Veterans Hall. They've met with them. They've done a really nice job of just pulling that together. The Veterans Hall is also going to be doing the pancake feed that morning at 7, I believe, at the fairgrounds. So you can go to that and then go to the parade if you want, and so we're looking forward to it. That permit has already been issued by WYDOT at this point. So they, many thanks to WYDOT for taking that, making the change and turning it around real quick. That was really great of them. And again, on the 11th. The EDGE meeting is scheduled for the 18th of this month. We have a handful of items to go through. We do not have an open funding session, but that may be discussed at the time. Wind River Visitor Council is also meeting on the 18th, as is FCAG. So it's a fun Thursday. If anybody doesn't have anything to do and wants to spend a couple hours, we can find you a place to be. Really appreciative of those groups. I would echo the comments on the October employments. Those are just exceptional. I mean, nothing short of just a lot of lift has been done there over time. That wasn't an airport joke. That was just everybody's done good work.
Out thrust.
Yeah, lift thrust. The EDGE application, we had some challenge, and I wanted to bring it up here just so as to get it out to the public. We received an application for funding to the county's EDGE group. I think they're called. Is it Lyft?
Move.
Huh? Anyway, the county's version of EDGE. It turns out, I would point out that if folks are applying to that through the county, you want to check your link because they used our form that we developed and they didn't change the link. So all of a sudden I'm getting funding requests for the county. I approved it and sent it on. And I hope
I hope you fully funded it.
Yeah, I fully funded. I'm going to see I want to see what they do now. But we have alerted the county. But if somebody has an old copy of it, it might have hyperlinks in it that are just not appropriate. We've done our best to try to move those forward, and we've alerted them as well. I did have some fun with it for a minute though, because lunchtime. We discussed and council approved the CWC agreement this evening. You also recently have one more agreement that's outstanding with QUORUM. That has been finalized, it's been reviewed, and it is to QUORUM. However, the challenge with negotiating with a hunting company during hunting season is it's going to be a minute. There are priorities right now. So, but we're happy to report that is moving forward. There's no challenges to it. It's simply a matter of timing with multiple owners. You have to get through that. So we will hopefully have that to you. We planned on it at this meeting, but we hope to have it to you at the next meeting or the meeting after, depending on what we have for back and forth. But we look forward to bringing that forward to you. And the last thing I would do is just extend a very big thank you to everybody on staff here that did such a nice job of the Halloween festivities here on Friday. I don't know how many people went through, but there were plenty. Did a really nice job. We had a bunch of fun costumes, a lot of candy passed out. We even had a First Interstate even didn't have a place, so they were going to do it someplace else. So they just came and got a table and passed out candy with us. Really great attendance, a lot of really cute costumes. So, but that was all put together by staff. There were donations of candy, mayor, staff, other individuals on council have donated for that candy. That was all done. The city did buy some of the candy, and we passed out a lot of it, and it was a lot of fun. We really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the work of staff in doing such a great job on that. With that, Your Honor, I don't have anything else I can think of.
The candy was for the kids.
Most of it got to them, too.
Just checking. I appreciate that. Since we last met, Tony and I were in on a conversation with Cody, with their administrative staff, and the conversation was about the electrical code, and Cody's finding it extremely difficult to proceed with that, and we're looking at legislative activity on that to move that to a point where it's more conducive to reality than just legislation, and so I appreciate that. Tony set that up with the administrator out of Cody, and that I think will work. We'll see if we get in some legislative rooms to testify on that. The road at Smith's, the north access road out of Smith's parking lot, has been patched by the owner, and we appreciate his willingness to read his strongly worded letter and do his part, and we appreciate that. Tony and I and staff have been, most of the time I've been wrong in that conversation, but I appreciate the help that I was given. So, like I stated earlier, Monday we spent an hour and 45 minutes with President Tyndale and his staff to try to hammer out the usage on the new arena. When you put our $100,000 into the bucket, it doesn't make a lot of difference. And so we've been approached by a number of people that told us to make sure that we get some contingency on those dollars. We tried our very best, and we'll pursue that further as we get the opportunity to. I attended a mayor's meeting up in Du Bois in the new bowling alley and the bakery. I should have brought you guys some cookies, but I forgot about you at the time. And so that was kind of fun to see that new building. It's got a golf simulator in it. It's got a shooting range simulator in it. It's got arcades, 5 bowling alley lanes, and a bakery, and it's worth your time to drive up and take a look at it. I also was lucky enough to get to go to the CWC basketball game last night, which CWC did lose 69-65 to the Air Force prep team. It's a wonderful game, and there's a bunch coming up, and so I would encourage everybody in the community to go participate and enjoy those games. We had pretty good turnout in the crowd, we really did. Some information, and I appreciate this. The county sends this to me twice a week. I get the jail report, and Chief gets it too. But we're down, our numbers for people in the jail have been spiking. In the last 2 weeks, they've been down in the numbers and below capacity. And the thing that they also show us is the quarantine. And for the last 2 weeks, we've had no cases in county for COVID. So appreciate that report. We've mentioned, all of us, the airport numbers. The exact numbers are 12,165 enplanements and 1,462 in October. Now, Kyle sent out numbers, and we go clear back to 2011, and that's still better than 2011. So we don't know if those are the best numbers we ever got or what, but we're appreciative of the staff at the airport. We're appreciative of the city staff that works hard on that. And we're really appreciative of the county residents that have been getting on the plane and flying wherever they want to go. And we appreciate that. So please keep it up, and we'll try to continue to improve that to the best of our ability. Now, when we mention that we get over 10,000 enplanements, we get $1 million. Do we get $1 million, Mia? Have you ever seen $1 million from the enplanement?
Have I seen $1 million from an employment?
Yeah. Did they ever send us a check for $1 million?
Historically, it's $1 million in entitlements, but yeah, very rare.
Yeah. So it's more like monopoly money, and we get credit to do, as we go past go, to do something else up at the airport. And so we really do appreciate what the public has done to help us get there. And Kyle Larson is correct that we are padding our numbers till December, but the real thing that is important about this is when the airport's working, the economy is working. And we're renting cars, and we're putting people into business positions. And it really is an economic growth. And so I appreciate the work that's been placed forward there. By FAST, if you catch some of the FAST ads, they're kind of fun. Last one I saw was a big cow elk standing in the middle of the road. All of us have seen that in the middle of the night in our headlights. And the statement says it's easier to fly over Wyoming than through it. And so I think there's some good work being done there. I appreciate it. The other thing that I'd like to mention is last Tuesday, I believe we had a fairly heavy rainstorm, and the emails started pouring in, and just before lunch, and so I went down to Westview and Northview and Eastview, and sure enough, the water was stacking up there, and we had a plugged drain. And city crews were online, and I got to work with a couple homeowners down there. They gave us some really good information. There was a obstruction in that line. That line takes that excess water. That water's coming clear from the high school down the storm sewer, and it resurfaces, if you can believe it, on the east side of Broadway. And then the water goes into the gutter and flows down into Westview, around to Northview. And in the very back of Northview, there's another drain line that intercepts that water, takes it across to Blowdorns. There's an underground line, Blowdorn, which puts it in the federal interceptor. And so the city crew, when I first got there, said that they'd tried to get through from the Blowdorn side, from the alley side, and they couldn't get through from the street side. And they were just vacuuming up water and moving it and dumping it, coming back and vacuuming up water. Water was progressing up in the yard space. Kyle Butterfield and Tony Tolstead showed up. They weren't much help. They didn't have their boots on or anything. But city staff had their boots on. And for the three of us standing around telling everybody what to do, somehow they got done. And so I appreciate the fact of the homeowners helping us down there, and they showed up with pictures and showed us how bad it could get if we don't get it unplugged. And they've actually got water down there to where it ran through the floorboards of parked cars.
Wow.
And so that's something that we need to address, and we will. And Kyle's already said he'd work with me and look at that. And so what really the great success there is that eventually they got the plug out, and it was a great big ball of leaves. And everybody loves trees except for me, and because I'm not a real leaves guy. And but that's interesting. Our storm sewer, when our forefathers, our parents put those in, were very limited through many sections of town, and we don't have a lot of storm sewers where we ought to have those. And so we need to take a look at that and maybe see if there's some grants or something that we could move forward with to improve that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
The pond at the end of 16th Street has reached its limits. And there is something we can do on that. And I'm thinking that whenever it gets dry enough, we should reg that out. Again, we did that 2 years ago, and it probably needs it more. But I was thinking we should be sending hunting license for the ducks down there. City limits, we should get some revenue off of that.
We're shooting deer in town, we can easily shoot ducks.
Yeah.
Most of the time, your gun is pointed in the air. So,
Everyone watching this will be out shooting ducks.
Oh, we'll be in Dutch.
the point of the matter is we have really good staff, and when they get clear direction, they do their jobs well. And we can fix those things. We just need to get some foresight and get after those and present those options. And so I appreciate the people that live on Westview and Northview and Eastview for their patience, and we'll do our very best to correct that as we can. We already went to executive. We're not going again, are we?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I wanted to mention, and I was just thinking about meetings, but I was able to attend the play at the college, Little Women, and it's amazing what they can do with the backdrops. They're all animated now. I mean, not animated, but, you know, not the sets that they used to be. Their next play is going to be Christmas Carol, so I just would recommend going. It's something different to do in town.
Lots of times it's easy to complain that there's nothing to do, but usually if you listen to Carla's list that she's got going, there's always something you can go do.
Absolutely.
So don't get stuck on the couch. If you've got to, get on the plane, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate all the work that's being done.
Your Honor, speaking of the list, I think there's a couple things worth mentioning here. Coats for Folks is put on by Kiwanis, and they're taking donations. I'm not sure, maybe Mia can fill us in a little bit on where we can take those. But the actual event is Saturday, November 13th from 9 to 11, and they give out a lot of coats to a lot of people. So it's a very worthy cause if you have some coats you want to give away. We have drop boxes all over town. Did you want to add anything to that? Yeah.
I can tell you we've got drop boxes located. There's one here at City Hall, Walmart, Wyoming Community Bank, the print shop. There's actually a new box down at the Fremont County Fair this year. All of the all the schools in Fremont County School District 25, Central Wyoming College, First Interstate Bank. I think that's about all of them, but they're out and available now. So coats, hats, gloves, anything you have that would help keep someone warm in the winter.
I caught my wife yesterday going through my closet, what she was going to give away. And so I do appreciate that effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments from this council? Staff, you have anything else you'd like to bring up? Kyle?
Your Honor, I thought I'd just respond to Mr. Larson's comment about the detention. We have a blockage in a line that drains to. We did have the Vactor there last Friday and broke a nozzle in the line. We brought out the second Vactor and it worked it all day today. We got the pipe halfway clear. We're going to be back there tomorrow. With the pipe halfway clear, that should start alleviating, but we can look at dredging that. It drains to a shared line with Riverton Valley Irrigation District, and we usually work with them every year to get that thing cleaned out.
Are we governed on what we can put in that irrigation line? Like we are on the one on Honor Farm?
Your Honor, we are.
So do we have to put is it called a weir in there to measure that?
Your Honor, we don't. We're regulated in the sense that the district wants to protect their exemption under the Clean Water Act. However, when the connection was made for the detention pond, the requirements were a little bit different than when we connected our new detention pond that's behind Walmart.
Okay. Thank you. Staff have anything else? Mia?
One last thing, Your Honor. Watch your communication channels. The Senior Center solar panel project has finally been completed. Their ribbon cutting celebration is scheduled for Wednesday, November 17th at 11 o'clock at the Riverton Senior Center. You'll all be receiving personal invitations. This was a joint project between the City of Riverton, the Senior Citizens Center, and the Rocky Mountain Power Blue Sky Energy Grant Program. And we also received a lot of funding from local donors. So if you have the opportunity to come out and participate in that ribbon cutting ceremony, it would be appreciated.
Have you seen any savings? Have they told you anything on?
They have not yet. As of yet, they haven't communicated that they have.
Super. I think they'll be surprised how well that works.
It's estimated that they should see about an 18% decrease in their utilities due to the solar piece of it.
That will help. Thank you. No other comments? We'll stand adjourned at 8. Oh, excuse me. Janice. Would you come up to the mic so we can get you on television and hear your pretty voice?
I'd just like to say that the chamber really appreciates that the city put on a trunk or treat, that all the community came out and did such a huge effort to show our citizens that there are things to do here. And I got a comment today that even the police department, this lady told me that in her neighborhood there were a lot of houses decorated, but there weren't a lot of children. But there are typically a lot of lights going on in her neighborhood. And she looked out on Halloween because she saw lights, and it was actually a police cruiser going through the neighborhood, flashing his lights and handing out candy to the children. So a big thank you to everybody. And the chamber backed off and didn't do an event so that we could celebrate and support everything that everybody else was doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate what you do. If there's no other suggestions, are we all said and done? We stand adjourned at 8:13.